Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Serious Strategy Gamer and we're returning to our Let's Play of War in the East, where we are playing as the Germans. So this is the first turn of snow, after I think about 4 turns of mud, which really froze us in. Now with the snow, the ground is freezing and we are able to conduct a little bit more of an offensive. So our combat value has definitely increased over here. This is not going to last for very long. There will be a time when this winter will become harsher. It is, after all, November only in Russia. And once the winter does become harsher, there's going to be a significant bonus for the Russians. So this is pretty much our last chance, the next couple of turns to attack the Russians. And after that, it will be us trying to hold rather than any more advance throughout the winter. So, let me turn off the weather overlay over here, because I think it's a little... No, let's keep it on. I think it's thematic. So, brief survey of the front line. We are very thinly spread in the south down here, because we sent a couple of our forces here to the north. We were trying to recover our motor pool and things like that, simply to restock during the mud situation. That didn't quite really work out as intended. A lot of our units are still horribly out of supply, and mostly due to the fact that the rail lines are very far back, especially here in the south. So that's really something not where we could advance at all. So we will need to push to Moscow. That is our ultimate objective. If we do look at the victory screen over here, we should see that at the end of the game a lot of points will occur if we do indeed have Moscow, and the Soviets will likely not gonna get these points. So that is what I want to try to do over here. We've got 2 principal units that will do this. We've got the light green units, that's the 3rd Panzer Group. So all of these guys over here, mostly they are tanks, and they will be trying to push through over here along this railway line and sort of encircle Moscow from, well, let's say the northwest here. Whereas the pink or purple or whatever guys down here, they will come in a little bit more from the southwest. And maybe circle around over here. You can see the defensive strength, the second number of these units in Moscow is horribly high. So we will definitely need to cut them off before we try any direct assault. Speaking of direct assault, we have the 27th Infantry Corps over here. And this corps, just in between episodes, I gave them pretty much all of our engineers. So these guys should be pretty good at reducing fortifications and maybe fighting in the city. They do have a number of flak battalions that I don't really care about that much, but more importantly a couple of howitzers as well, including this siege battery over here, the 600mm railgun. So we are going to try to bring that directly towards Moscow. Hopefully we can keep these guys in reserve a little bit while we go on. Then lastly we do have 1 more tank group down here, these Cyan guys. Not really sure what I want to do with them. Probably want to drive them up over here towards Kaluga. Sort of encircle these guys if we can break through over here. But I think the most important bit is going to happen in the north. So, you know what? In fact, I think it would be a good start to think about just rolling up this front line from the north. All of these green units over here, and they're not principally there for the offensive. I primarily want them to hold the line over here. We might spread them a little bit more thinly even. But the most important thing is we want to extend this railway line, and we do have actually one of our rail repair units up here, but I would ideally like to pop these guys away so that we can break through over here a little bit more cleanly. We're not being we're not suffering from the zone of control issues, and we can just drive into that general direction. So I suppose it is going to be difficult to attack this town of Richev anyway, but we definitely do want to try to dislodge these guys. So firstly, do we have good intel on you? Not really, so I think the first thing that we might want to do is fly a recon mission over here. Just a couple of fighters, nothing really exciting, but that should give us a better view. Not really, but maybe a little bit. So they have a tank brigade in there and some security units. Okay, we can bring you here. The issue of course is if you are here, you'd be blocking a little bit the ability to attack this cavalry unit. Do you want to start out with an attack of these two guys on this cavalry unit then? Yeah, I think that would be appropriate. Good, let's start here. Hasty attack. Enough to get them to retreat. Although they are only retreating into a hex that we would otherwise want to control ourselves anyway. So that's not necessarily ideal. Also, if we capture this, well, if we capture this I think we'll be fine, so that might be okay. What have we got over here? We've got the railway line unit and one other guy. Well, we might still want to come up here then. Yeah, I think that's securing the line a little bit better, and might just generally be a little bit nicer. Could you come over here? And firstly, so you guys are... I think you would be supporting this, but let's move you up into this town. And I think we need the strong unit here. Okay, let's come over here. And let's do an attack on these guys. Do we want to bomb them first? Let's try. Okay, a bit of population evacuating here under the German assault. 26. This is not enough. See, we have such a high superiority here, but we still didn't manage to break them. And now we are very much out of attack power. Okay, let's try one more time. 12,000 men only, but this time I think we are getting them to retreat. Very nice. Just barely though. Very, very barely. That is definitely nice to see. Can we get you to occupy the city? We cannot. That is a little bit sad because we've now so many units over here. And ideally we do want to occupy the city. Well, we definitely want to occupy that city, so we also want to break through here, but also these guys up here are exerting a zone of control, so that is something that we do need to keep in mind. Okay, let's get these guys here into position in the city. We can also bring up the headquarter unit over to here. You are still on the railway line, so that should be working out decently. We have 6 attack value, that might be enough to take these guys out. Okay, let's do another recon mission over here on these guys so that we are getting some information on some of these guys. Are you still at the 6 then, or are you now a little bit better? Come on. Do give me the info. That 6. 4. Yeah, this is still not very good. Recon. Can I get better recon on these guys, please? I'm not sure whether it really updates in real time. Okay, so all of these guys being more or less done, you could attack maybe this way. No point really, so I think we'll just keep them over there. So the big question is then, do we think that these guys here can deal with this brigade, with this cavalry division, mountain cavalry division actually? It would be great because that would mean we don't have to send so much more forces up here, and we have very little in terms of forces, and again these we'd actually ideally want to keep them where they are, so or well, at least rest them up a little bit. We also want to use these 2 infantry divisions ideally to attack these guys up here, because they are definitely one of the biggest roadblocks here. Well, I suppose I could start to attack these guys. You only have 4. You cannot come anywhere really. No. You have 4 units under your control. That's 1, 2, 3. Oh, interestingly enough, one of these guys does belong to this headquarter. Okay, well, effort, let's try. Ah, very good. Okay, that was barely enough. That wasn't really that high of a margin there. But it's good that we did make that, so I'm pretty happy about this. Next thing, of course, we do want to break these guys here. So yeah, let's bring up simply our infantry first. simply because I think that is the best that we can do. Right. Again, not really the kind of superiority I like, so let's do send a bombing mission here. 110 bombers, that's a little bit excessive. They are losing 8 fighters, that's nice to see. And then we can try to attack. Ah, damn it, just not enough. Just not enough. This should be a 2. Ah. Okay, and unfortunately that does mean, well, we can attack again. I think this time we will be able to break. Yeah, easily. Might have only attacked with one of these divisions anyway. Right, so that's nice. We can bring firstly the railway unit up towards over here before we box ourselves in accidentally. Right, and then about these units, well, you could advance further, but you couldn't attack, so that is a little bit neutral, honestly. So we can't really do anything with you there. So I think the next thing is to bring in our tank units. We also have this purple unit here. And if we do bring you up here, you can attack. So if you do bring you up here, this unit is going to withdraw. And we only have these 2 units that will be blocking our way. And that would be very nice, but I'm not sure whether the purple units aren't needed down here. So that is something that we do need to consider. By the way, the 9th Army is now mostly up here anyway. So I suppose I can move you up towards over here so that you are rendering more support. I think that's fair. Okay, I don't really want to use these guys in this role. And honestly I can't because they would not have enough movement points. You would. So I can get you up and then start. So the issue is I want to preserve the strength of my tanks so that they can wreak a little bit more havoc while they're breaking through down there. But all in all that just doesn't seem to be too possible. What have we got in terms of stronger units? Right, oh, by the way, I should say, in between episodes, I did also reassign a couple of our leaders. It's off-camera action. It's not that exciting, honestly, but still good to know, maybe. So you'd have 30, you would have 27. So you're actually the weaker unit. On the other hand, you are pretty weak here as well, only 26 movement points. Okay, so we are going to move up the tanks. We're going to displace these guys. So that's okay. And then again here no one really has movement points left, so we'll simply need to deal with that. Could move up the motorized unit here as well. But I mean we have ×6 superiority here, so yeah, I think we can simply attack. Where's our headquarters? Our headquarters somewhere down here? Yeah, it is. Bring you up at least a little bit. Also, we'll need to be careful that we're not exposing ourselves here. But I think we'll be alright. And where's your headquarters, by the way? All the way down here, interestingly enough. I think you too, this 3rd Panzer Group itself, the headquarters can come up there. This is on our rail network now, so that should be okay. Right, attack here. 11,000 men against 22,000 men, but we are winning and they are retreating. That is nice indeed. It does leave the question about what to do with this cavalry division here, which is still, I think, exerting a zone of control. Yeah, because it's a proper division, not something smaller. We could attack with these guys. That would leave us very little to do. I'm tempted to pull in this single division towards over here. Can any of you... Well, you know what? You can get over there. 2 movement points. 2 movement points. You are a little bit better. 4 movement points. Is 4 movement points enough to attack across that river? Yes. 15,000 men. We are easily pushing them back. Haven't lost that much in terms of men. Still, of course, every loss at this point does hurt us quite a bit. So, still, the issue is we can now move on, so that is nice. let's do a follow-up strike on these guys who have already retreated once. You can see their combat power isn't falling by that much. We're only pushing them slightly back. We will need to fight again. So this is getting a lot more frustrating than it used to be in the early turns. But still, we are doing good work here, so let's continue to do this. Continue to push them back. There we go. Fantastic. I should have maybe attacked these guys, but I didn't because I was stupid. Okay, bring up the radar rail. Repair units. Can't repair over here. Still, at least we have made some progress. Not that much really, but at least we are now good to advance to the right here. So I think that's going to be fairly fantastic. Good. Okay, so let's follow up and send more units into the breach over here. So firstly, maybe you'd have 60. That's a very weird path. You'd have 24 points there, 21 points there, 25. So 21 is the minimum for now that I have seen. 19. You are an extremely strong unit. These guys are now in defensive in defensive formations there. That is pretty bad. Okay, also we do need to fly some recon over here, over these places. Yeah, and I think that's a lot of cavalry there. Very few building troops though. Let's actually fly another mission. The more we know about these guys, the easier our attack will be. So I think that's going to be important there. Right, but we do need to kick so many units out of the way too. So you had 24, 21. You're a fairly weak unit, but anyway, let's bring you up here. Let's conduct an attack on these guys. Roughly equal in men. Not much more combat power, so that's nice. Pushing them back over there. Certainly very good. Yeah, actually, I think I should turn this on so that we have some view about which fields are ours and which are theirs. Okay, so that is nice. You down here could advance as well. We'd be attacking across the river over here. 15 movement points. 14. Okay, let's bring you here. Oh, you're not actually withdrawn. That's actually pretty okay for me. So we want to bob these guys and then attack here from the south, so that we are not attacking across the river. I think that's a wise idea. So, okay, let's get you out of the way first. You should be falling pretty easily. Yeah, very much so. And then attack these guys. Should hopefully be okay too. Yeah, it is. And then what have we got down here? We've got a rifle division and the border regiment. Well, if you do bob them, we will be able to get here more easily, so I think that's worthwhile. So no zone of control there anymore. That's okay. Very little movement points on our tanks, but that's okay. Let's bring in the next unit. And then we can start to attack this fortified region. We could also just try to bypass it, but I think it's a good target just to... because we will need to run our railway line through this anyway. And I think for now a lot of these units are actually fairly weak. But you only have 20 combat power. Let's bring in the motorized units. 17. And you'd be having 18. Okay, let's bring in the motorized unit. Then both of these are going to attack over here. 28,000 men. Oh, very nice. That's good. Let's pause here for a second because this is a fairly large battle. So we've lost 200 men. That's not nothing. We've also lost 18 tanks, 7 guns. They lost a large number of guns and quite a couple of men, but... oh, and someone surrendered, actually. That's very nice. Yeah, but most importantly, they have retreated. We can now occupy that field, at least in theory. So let's take the motorized division and let's block. Let's get this guy here to surrender. I think that's going to be nice. Fine, good, and all that. So, and then I think we do want to move up here, just pop these guys and just clear up the way to get to Moscow. You cannot advance into there. both of you can advance into here. Let's start out with the motorized division. You have 10. You have 18. Can I undo the last move? No, I cannot. Pity. Right, we also have another tank division down here. You are fairly good, so... Okay, you know, let's bring these guys in here. Let's start out with shoving these guys a little bit back. That was maybe a little bit excessive, but, you know, it's still okay. The tanks can attack your fortified region. That should enable them to surrender. That's okay too. Tanks will stay where they are. You can advance the motorized division, so let's do so. Can you attack here? I think you cannot. You just don't have enough movement points. Okay, that's still alright. Because again, we do have some more units down here. Why are you taking this weird route? Because you don't want to cross the river, is that it? Yeah. So maybe we should have bought these guys here instead. But we do want to come along the northern route over here. So I think that's fine. Good. Man, advancing to Moscow feels like so scary. We're advancing here in the winter, and we're doing basically an advance through the Russian winter, which is just mind-boggling. I would like to displace these. It's just there is a rifle division on there, so we can't really displace them directly. We would need to attack, and we're probably not going to be able to do that anyway. Let's simply try to push you back. There we go. That's fairly nice. Okay, so I think that's about it for these divisions actually. Oh, there is. I should have moved up the headquarters first. Anyway, lessons are learned. So if you're here, you're about 24. Yeah, I think you'll be alright over here. Yeah, that's fantastic. You do have this unit and a couple of units down here, really? Ah, okay, there are more the units down here. Including some of which are in contact, but you here are fine, so you can actually advance closer onwards to Moscow, so that is definitely nice to see. You have 10 combat power. We could actually try to cut off the northern railways over here. Not sure that's going to be that useful for us. Well, one thing is, I'm not sure how the Russians are resupplying. All of these Russians over here, do they get supply from the railway lines? Can't see it this way. So, do they get supply only from the railway lines traveling through Moscow over here? Or would they also get supply from the railway lines up here further in the north? So, could they trace supply sort of this way? Or this way? Or do they need to come through Moscow? If they do need to come through Moscow, I think we would have some very, very good opportunity here to just cut them off. And, you know, even though I don't really know, that might be a very worthwhile target for us. Just to try and do that. It's only basically this field. Could also just run up here straight to the north. Kalinin in itself is a very, very tempting target. But we do need to be focused on Moscow, so at least I would like you to keep close to our existing units. And you are commanded by this gentleman here, who has some trouble. Anyway, that's okay. And then we've got this unit here. I suppose you cannot really move far because you are currently in a zone of control of some other guys. But at least we can bring it all the way up here. None of these units do have too many movement points left though. So we'll be struggling to close this gap here. Still, I think occupying this field might still be alright. And if they do come closer towards us and try to cut us off, I mean, you know what? I think I'm actually gonna be fine with that. The question is, do we want to pop these guys one more time? What do we know about them? We know fairly much. I think they are sort of out of supply, so... Well, if we do kick them, they'll probably be relocating somewhere behind Moscow. Okay, let's try. 9,000 men. 3-to-1 ratio. Routed. And fairly high losses actually. Over 1,000 men there. Right. And if we do get close over here, a lot of these guys here will be suffering from more zone of control issues and all of that. So yeah, let's do get here. I think that's fine. Good. You're still in zone of you're still close to your buddy there, so that is nice. And that means we can try to move up all of these infantry units here and try to get in a closer position towards, well, the rest of our troops basically. So that's the 5th Corps. The 5th Corps also has some supplies that could be used for... Oh, wait a minute. This Corps here, the 6th Corps, is way behind actually. Okay, let's get you over here. Where is your headquarters actually? All the way over there. Huh. Okay, let's get you here. You're in supply now, so that's great. And then we've got these guys down here. Right. Let's get you, at least one of you, I think I would like to be here. And then the other gentleman can be there. 3rd unit. I don't really want to move you into the mud over there. So I think we'll just try to replace this guy, although that will put us fairly far behind over here, so that we are covering, well, we do have this infantry division, so I think it might be alright over there. If we move you here, I think, yeah, we'll have enough coverage of all of these units, so let's move you all the way up there, and that's fine. Headquarter unit, we'll place that on the railway line over there, so I think that should be pretty fantastic as well. Very good. Okay, so that does conclude the movement of the light green army. The dark green army does have some more units down here, and that we could potentially move up and get onto a position so that they can ultimately get closer to Moscow itself. I think we'll just... It's a little bit crowded up here actually, but yeah, it's just gonna have to be fine. Can you really not move anywhere? Yeah, well, you could move a little bit to rear, actually. Yeah, these guys are supposed to be our heroes of Moscow. So, let's keep them in where they are for now. And then what we're going to do is, we're going to move these guys up either this way or that way as we see fit. So, yeah, I think that's okay. All of the other situation here in the north is fairly stable, so we don't need to concern ourselves too much with that. I think we are going to be fine over there. And so what we're going to do next is use the purple units, try to break through here, maybe encircle a couple of units here. It's not too much actually, it's just like 5, 6, 7 rifle divisions. It's not nothing, but it's not our main objective. Our main objective is to break through, and we should briefly think at least whether we want to break through down here. So these clear this pass. I think this is the most tempting to me. On the other hand, just bypassing this railway head over here is also be tempting, because this is very strong defensive power. On the other hand, up here, these guys are incredibly tough. So I think this way over here, then maybe there. That could be good. And on the other hand, I also want to keep in mind that if we do get this railway line, and if the Cyan units could break through here, then we might actually cut off all of these guys here from supply. So their basic supply notch would only be here. And they would have at least trouble tracing their supply, so that would be great. But not sure whether that is so viable. So, for now, I'm going to say thank you very much for watching. Do leave a like and all of that. I know it's not been the greatest progress, but these are really important turns, and we do need to make sure that we are advancing here on Moscow, not spreading our line too thinly, preserving the strength of our panzer forces and the 27th Corps over here, which all of these pioneers, and then we are going to have to see whether we do have any chance of just encircling Moscow in the next turn also, and then maybe advancing, well, capturing it the turn after. I'm very tempted to see how that's going to work. For now, I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye!